So there's the layers. Vision, then it's the rules of the game combined with what are the actions that are going to take you towards that vision. Then it's map out your calendar, and now you have clarity on the choices between yes and no, and they just become words that help you acknowledge your decisions that maybe you've already made because it's all tied back to that vision.
Welcome back to Life in 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. I got Matt Finelli back with me again, as always, my trusty, I don't know, sidekick. You're not a sidekick. My trusty partner in crime. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. All right. Well, let's jump right in, Matt. This topic. So I was speaking at a conference in Park City, Utah, a couple weeks ago, and there was an amazing kind of side conversation that came up for me where people were talking about what is more powerful, the ability of saying yes or the ability of saying no. And I really liked kind of where this was going and the energy that's kind of coming around it, because there was people saying, well, yes is more powerful in this way. And then other people going, well, no, you got to be able to say no to things as you're like, it was great. And so, Matt, I want to jump into this with you, kick around these ideas, because I think in different stages of life, different stages of growth patterns, these words mean very, very, very different things. And they're both extremely powerful.
Yeah. And they mean different things depending on how you've set up your lifestyle, your business, and your calendar as well. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's popular in kind of the personal and business development space to be like, you need to learn how to say no really well. And okay, sure. Or you just need to learn how to say yes to what you really want, and you can interpret it either way. Ultimately, there's a choice. Like behind yes and no is choosing how you want your life to be, how you want your business to be run. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about this. It's funny it came up for you at that conference too, because that same day, and maybe it's just the energy of connection, I was having a conversation with someone about it too.
Well, it came up in this, I think, where I was like, we need to put this on the list, because I came home also and my kids have turned us on to the show called Yes Theory on YouTube, which if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it's really amazing. I have a feeling YouTube is going to take out general TV altogether, and it's just going to be YouTube is what we're going to watch in the future, because fabulous stuff on there.
Sure.
But Yes Theory is this group. It's basically this group that was, kind of the fundamentals of it was like, say yes, like you find people that will say yes and go on these journeys and take these travels. And the one I watched last night, they found this lady in a train station, and they were airdropping people airplane tickets is what they were doing on their phones. So they were basically like seeing who would respond, and most people would be like, absolutely not, and declining all of them. And all of a sudden this one lady is like, all right, I'm game. And she like walks over and she goes, I just quit my job. This is my world that I'm in. And they're like, we can't tell you where we're going, but we're going to leave the country, and will you come with us? And she was like, I got nothing to lose. Yes. Like, let's do this. And so I think in combination with this conversation that I had in Park City, then watching this Yes Theory and this whole philosophy about saying yes and going and growing and going and checking out new things, I started to overthink in a positive way the difference of yes and no. And I'll give you kind of a little insight to where I come from with this, Matt, at first. I think when I said there's different stages in life, I think when you are in a growing mindset, when you are somebody who is saying, I need to take in the entire environment around me, I'm learning, I got to find out what works, what doesn't work. I'm probably going to say yes a lot more around me to all these things. I'll say yes to books to read, to shows to watch, to coaches I need to talk to let's take it all in. We're in this pattern right now, Matt. We're saying yes to a lot of stuff as we're learning and growing, as we're starting our business.
Yeah.
And so then with all of your knowledge, you then allow no to become the more powerful word, because then you start to get this idea of what you stand for, how we're going to do this. And then all of a sudden you have that ability of going, you know what? Now I'm going to implement no in the right places here to say, we're good. And this is where they both are so extremely powerful.
They are. And I think, yeah, speaking of yes, like we are in a very big yes mode. So if anybody is looking for somebody to speak or do something, the answer is
That's
probably
yes.
yes. If you reach out. But I think there's also understanding how you want to structure your yeses. Cause I get like, we need to be able to say no. Um, Personally, I'm like, gosh, no is such a negative kind of word, which is why a lot of times we end up saying yes. And then we figure out a way to say no later. Right.
Yeah.
Think about all the times you're like, your friends are like, hey, let's get together for dinner. Let's go do this. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And then it's leading up and you're like, I don't really want to go and do that. So I got to figure out a way to say no now, where wouldn't it be nice if you were just able to say no up front? And there is positive energy with that. But if you are very clear, and this starts with Garrett, right? And we've been talking about this through our business planning sessions this month. It starts with you getting very clear on your vision.
Yes.
Where do you want to go? Right. Then you know what are the things that you definitely are saying yes to and the things that you are saying no to because you have something else you've already said yes to. Right. And that's the beauty of it. If you have that clarity, it's easy to say no because no is not like a negative thing. It's just, I've already said yes to something else.
Well, and I think you brought it back to business planning. I think that's one of the major powers of having a business plan in place and having this map laid out for yourself for where you're going for this year, for the quarter, is that you now have a blueprint to be able to say, okay, this is the stuff I say yes to. This is the stuff I can easily go, nope, not in the plan, not in something that's important to me right now, not what we're doing. And I think that you have to have that clarity. And this is where it also has come up a lot for me right now, Matt, is I'm watching a lot of people that are in a place in their business where they're like, I'm creating so much business. I can't handle it all. I can't do it all. I can't take it all in. And what do I do? And I think that if you don't have the clarity to say no, your only option is stop doing the things that are creating new business. And
Which no one wants to do that.
they do it though all the time. Like they get stuck in this. I've got
No,
so
they don't
much-
want to, right? Like that's a great example of something. Well, I don't want to say no to these things, but I have to say no to the future of my business right now. And even just saying it that way, like that feels very cringy. Like,
Well,
I'm just going to say no to future growth and future business right now so I can do this.
it's easier to say no to the systems that are building the business than it is to the client that's sitting in front of you saying, hey, I need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you're letting yourself down on this side. You're letting them down on the other side. So it's easier to go like, well, I'm going to take care of them. And then all of a sudden you're stuck in this place of like, oh my gosh, like, why did I say yes to this piece of business? I saw the writing on the wall. I've seen this before. I knew this was a no.
And that's a tough thing too when it comes to the yeses and nos with that, right? And even when it comes to tough business, okay, we have to there's a few things we would need to unpack in that situation if this is you who's listening or watching. It's okay, well, where is your business at that you feel compelled to say yes? Is it because you're like, this is more money, I need to make more money? Or is it like, I just really having trouble not servicing people and I love helping that just, you know, person in need. And are you set up to handle that business, right? In general.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets back to structure and things, and how can you work on the things that set you up to be able to say yes to a difficult client because you're like, hey, I have a system and a process that we're going to be able to get through this together. We're going to be open and honest. And yeah, it might be harder than handling somebody else, but I have the systems in place to be able to manage that along with other people. Like, you know what? My phone, doesn't send me the email alert. So I'm not triggered every time an email comes in. I'm like, oh no, it's Garrett emailing again. Like I just talked to him. It's like, shouldn't even know that he was emailing.
Is that what you do when I call?
Yeah, pretty much.
How it goes
every time. Like I'm like, well, you don't email, so I never have to worry about you emailing.
You never have to worry about that. But I think, so Matt, like one thing that I'm having people do right now is, and I call it the rules of the rules of the game. And so when they are in that position of trying to figure out, I've got all these people coming in that I feel like I need to say yes to. What do I do? Because I'm saying no to my systems that are growing my future business. One of the best things I have them do is write down all of their like perfect piece of business they work with, the perfect client, the perfect area they like to work in, price range they like to work in, style of home they like to work in. Like, get specific with it if you really want to. And you can keep tightening the parameters on this and tightening the parameters on this so that, at first you might be pretty broad. It might be like, I like working properties above $1 million. You might working with listings above $1 million. That's where I'm going to spend most of my time, most of my energy. I did this with a gentleman the other day, and I said, you'll know the stuff that's like this is stuff that I really don't like doing. This is not and he instantly was like, buyers under 800,000. He was like, boom, that's the one. I was like, well, all right, put it down on the list. Because I think what you need to do is when that situation comes up, what you don't want to be, and none of us want to be, is when that buyer's sitting there saying, hey, will you help me? I'm 700,000 is my price range. Just what I'm looking at. You don't want to, none of us want to go, no, I'm not helping you. We're not doing do that. Like, that's not what we're saying. But there is a yes, but. Yes, I am going to help you. Internally is not going to be me. I am saying no to being the one that's going to be boots on the ground making this work. I have some options for you, though.
And that is the key, is when you start to identify, hey, these are the things I would like to be able to say no to. Great. What's your system for saying no? Hey, can you help us find a home under 800,000? Yes. My colleague Garrett is an expert in that range. And so why don't we meet? I'm going to introduce you to him. We'll get all the framework and we'll get you off and running and find you that dream home of yours. Awesome. Sounds fantastic. Right. And you do have to get over yourself in some of these situations, because like, oh, but they really want to work with me. If you're not going to give that energy, if you're thinking, gosh, I should have said no to this, you're not giving them your best. And it's going to be to their advantage for you to find that process of how you can hand them off. Right. And so I love this exercise. So you got the rules of the game. Here are my rules. And then you look at, okay, now for the things that are not a yes for me, how do I have the yes for the client or the person requesting, so that they can be on a path towards success?
That's really what they want. I mean,
yeah.
I know a lot of people go, oh, but they came to me. They want to work with me. No, what they do is they trust you.
Ooh.
And they trust you and the people that you have around you. And when you're like, I have the best path for you to get you there. If the relationship is built, especially the relationship has to be built, they will trust you to say, ooh, this is the right situation. What you don't want to ever do, which is what people, I think, never go down this path with to begin with, is we've all experienced it where we go into a business, we know, like, and trust this person that runs the business, and you have your appointment to go in and they go, oh, sorry, they're not here. You're going to meet with their associate.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's not who I wanted to meet with today. I wanted to meet with Matt. Why am I not meeting with Matt? Well, if Matt were to meet with me and say, based on what I've learned, based on where you want to go, I want to bring Garrett in here real quick so that we can get you the results that you want at the highest level we can get them at. You got my full attention now, but you have to have a plan around this. This is you saying no.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a great way to say no. And the other thing that I look at, Garrett, when people are battling the yeses and nos, is your calendar. And, if you're listening to this, raise your hand. If you don't have your entire calendar filled up, and I know this can give you some anxiety. It's like, what do you mean fill up my entire calendar? I need space for this, this, and this. It's like, great. Put this, this, and this in those spaces. You want to have space available to do nothing? Block your calendar for nothing. You want to have space to make phone calls? You block that. You want to have space to be available if there's appointments that happen? Boom, space for availability for appointments. But moving all of that white space off of your calendar so that you're not easily able to just go, yeah, you know what? I know my process is to hand this person off to Garrett, but I got some time this weekend to show some houses. Maybe I'll do this one, right? And you go into it thinking, great, I'll do the intro. We're going to go see some houses this weekend. They're going to find, we'll write, it'll be great. And then they don't find the one. And now you have your buyer in the parameters that you said was not something that you wanted to take on. And by the way, put whatever price point you want here, right? We just picked one out of thin air.
Yeah.
And that's because you left your calendar wide open. So it was easy to say yes, instead of putting on, you know what, actually, I'm just going to decompress this weekend. Like, I'm going to sit down with a book. I'm going to sit on the back porch. I'm going to put my toes in the sand, whatever it is, to keep your calendar somewhat full. And it may not be perfect. You'll have some blocks here and there. But like for me, right, I have these standing blocks for like picking up my kids and family here, which helps me make adjustments. Now, this does not mean that you never replace those things, because there are some things that come in that, yeah, that's a hell yeah. You know,
Yep.
when you have maybe this is going to be my weekend to hang out and chill, and that buyer for that $5 million property enters your world, and you're like, yeah, I got time this weekend. We can make that happen. We can go show. And like, that's the beauty, because now you know what you're also saying no to. Hey, I'm going to say no to putting my toes in the sand this weekend because I would rather do this. You make a positive choice for yourself, and you get to weigh it really quickly versus just kind of it's yes to whoever.
In most schedules are really, I mean, a lot of times when I'm coaching Matt, I'll have people share their calendars with me. I'm like, let me see what your schedule looks like. Let me see what you got built out. And there's just not enough space in there to have to make decisions. It's more so just fill things when things kind of come in. And the more so that you can actually put yourself in that position of having to make is this a yes or no? Can I say yes? Do I need to give them another option too? And I think that's another whole thing that a lot of people get too comfortable with saying yes. And this is where yes can be a really bad thing. Is, every time somebody calls me and says, I want to go look at property, I want to go, can you come by and list my house or take a look at our house? The answer is, what time works best for you? And we need to get into a place of, I want to say yes to this, but here's the options I have available to come and see your house. Here's the options I have available to go and show you those homes. And get some control over this. We find, and this is where, again, that power of yes and no, knowing your business, having a structure, knowing the rules of the game, knowing how this all works will give you the power to say yes to the right things and say no to the right things. And I don't know how deep we need to go into this, Matt, but it was just one of those fun kind of like look ats, because it was fun to see these people have this deep conversation over what is a more powerful word, the yes or the no. And I'm like, they are both like showstopper words used the right way. Like they will
really
direct everything of what you want if you know how to use those two words. But I love where you went, Matt. If you're not clear on what you are saying yes and no to, or the bigger picture about what it is that you're growing and where you're going, you can be off track real fast, saying yes to the wrong things and saying no to the wrong things.
So there's the layers, right? Vision, then it's the rules of the game, combined with what are the actions that are going to take you towards that vision. Then it's map out your calendar, and now you have clarity on the choices between yes and no, and they just become words that help you acknowledge your decisions that maybe you've already made, and then obviously new decisions that are powerful enough to say, hey, I'm going to replace this in my world, because it's all tied back to that vision. Which, if you want some help with creating that vision, we got something for you, don't we, Garrett?
We do have stuff for you. And I'll add in one last little piece here, which is, when you are in growth mode, be open to saying yes. And I think that there's places in our lives of like, if you wanted to really lean into a side of your business and really learn a lot, the best thing you can do is say yes to a lot of stuff and learn and fail. I think that the word yes when you're growing allows you to fail more often and fail more frequent.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would look at that as a negative, and it's really is a positive to go in, say yes, fail, learn, grow, because very quickly this is what allows you to make those better decisions as you go. So,
and make the best of that experience, pulling it back to yes theory, where they try to get all these people to say these crazy yeses. Like, you go embrace an experience like that, like you can make the best of it. Or if you say yes and you kind of like blah into it, like you may not get out of it what you could have if by saying this big yes, right? And so lean into the yes. I like yes more than no. But getting clear on how you make those decisions is obviously a big part of it. So, well, Garrett, for you guys listening, we've had a lot of people ask about business planning. Hey, are you guys doing business planning? And I realize this episode's now being released kind of in the middle-ish of November, and we've already started our business planning. But that's okay, because everything's recorded inside the 11 Circle, which is our group coaching program. Everything is recorded. So each Wednesday when we go in there and we do a coaching session or a success lab workshop, gosh, about a week and a half ago, we had Dan Martell in there doing a Q&A, which was incredible. We're doing business planning. So we have 3 detailed sessions and we have a Q&A coming up that we're going to do at the end of this month. So if you go to lifeat10tenths.com, scroll down and join the 11 Circle, you get a 7-day free trial to go start checking out some of the stuff that's already in there so that you can create an incredible plan. And this is not our average business planning, Garrett. We've created this GPS. So this is more of a living, breathing, flexible plan that helps you get to your vision when detours arrive, when things show up in your world that maybe take that plan that you thought was going to be perfect off track. You've prepared and you're able to manage it. So it's a lot of fun going through this. And so if you're looking for that, come check it out. We'd love to help you build an incredible vision and an incredible plan.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you all a cheat code that I think cheat codes are always fun to have, is that with that 7-day free trial, if you are behind the 8 ball a little bit of getting your business plan done, and we've had these sessions in here already recorded, use the 7-day free trial to come in there and hammer through as much information that we have in there. We have the business plans will be up, the actual recordings will be in there. You'll get a business plan in hand. But as you were saying, Matt, there's a ton of other interviews and people that we've brought on, special guests. All those recordings are in there. So the cheat code is you can come in and use your 7-day free trial and gather as much as you want and be like, all right, like, this has been great, guys. I'm gonna hit the road now. And my hope is you're gonna come in and realize what is going on inside the 11 Circle and the community that is built and the coaching side of it, and go, oh my gosh, this is worthwhile for me to stay. That's my hope. But you can use the cheat code if you really feel you need to.
When you said cheat code, I was thinking up, down, left, right, BA, select, start.
You can try that.
You know, that's a whole nother one. And if you know, you know. And if you don't, then you're probably
What level does that get you to on Super Mario Brothers?
No, that's Contra.
Oh, is it Contra?
Although there is probably a similar one for Super Mario.
Got you the hidden level, I thought.
If you guys haven't experienced Contra, what an awesome game that was. And probably still is. I have not played that in a long time. Anyway, we are totally off track. Coming back, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. We appreciate you so much. If you get value out of these episodes, we'd so appreciate you guys sharing it with someone else who you feel would find some value out of it. Leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you're on. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell, and enjoy all of the other content that we're putting out there as well. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you, everybody.